In the world of UFOs, extraterrestrials, and government secrets, one of the most shocking and often debated claims is the idea that the US government has been secretly in contact with beings from other worlds for decades. This idea isn't just about strange lights in the sky or unexplainable phenomena captured on radar. It goes far deeper. Imagine, if you will, that our government struck a deal with extraterrestrial beings, agreeing to provide them with something in exchange for their advanced technology. It's a notion so outlandish, so difficult to grasp, that it almost feels like a piece of science fiction. But what if it's not? The first time the world truly heard about the alleged agreement between the United States and extraterrestrials was in the 1980s, when John Lear, a former pilot with deep connections to the intelligence community, began speaking about a secret pact that had been made between the US government and alien beings, which were referred to as EBS, extraterrestrial biological entities. This was not just a simple exchange of information or technology. No, the deal was far more complex and potentially far more dangerous than anyone could have imagined. What is most unsettling about this theory is the idea that the US government knew about the existence of these beings for years, yet chose to keep it hidden from the public. It's easy to dismiss these ideas as outlandish, but as the evidence mounts, it becomes harder to ignore. The government allegedly agreed to cooperate with these extraterrestrial beings under the guise of national security, but at what cost? What did the government agree to in exchange for this advanced alien technology? For decades, it is believed that the government turned a blind eye to some of the darker aspects of the extraterrestrial presence on Earth. These beings, far more advanced than we could ever imagine, were not just offering gifts of technology. They were taking something in return. The most chilling part of this alleged agreement is that it involved the abduction of human beings, and possibly even animals, for the collection of biological material. This wasn't just about collecting data for scientific purposes. This was about extracting genetic material, conducting experiments, and creating hybrids. The government, it said, was well aware of these abductions, and instead of stopping them, they made a deal to allow them to continue in exchange for cutting-edge technology. Now, think about it. What if this deal has been going on for decades? What if your government, the very one that has sworn to protect you, is in league with entities that have been operating in the shadows? How would you feel knowing that the very essence of your life, your privacy, and even your body might have been compromised for the sake of some hidden agenda? It's a question that many have struggled to answer, and one that raises deep, unsettling emotions. For some, the very thought of a government-alien agreement conjures up feelings of betrayal. How could they keep something like this hidden from the public? How could they, for so many years, allow human beings to be abducted without so much as a whisper of truth to the people? The implications are staggering. If this information were to become public, it could shake the very foundation of our government, our beliefs, and our sense of security. For years, we have been told that UFOs and extraterrestrials were just myths, stories conjured up by the imagination. But if these beings truly exist, and if the government has been in contact with them all along, then everything we know about our world, our history, and even our future could be in question. Now, consider this. What if the government knew about the alien presence on Earth, but didn't know how to handle it? What if they were paralyzed by the realization that these beings were far more powerful, far more advanced than anything we could comprehend? And what if they chose the path of silence and secrecy, hoping that by withholding the truth, they could maintain control, avoid panic, and avoid chaos? It's a terrifying thought, isn't it? But it's one that must be considered when discussing the potential for a government-alien deal. Imagine the fear that might grip you, knowing that the very people you elected to represent and protect you might have been hiding the truth from you all along. The idea that the government might have betrayed its own citizens in exchange for technology is enough to make anyone feel betrayed, deceived, and angry. And yet, this is the very notion that John Lear and others have brought to light. The thought that perhaps our leaders were making deals with extraterrestrials, perhaps even trading us our very lives for their technological advancements. How could this have been allowed to happen? What is perhaps even more disturbing is the emotional toll that this secrecy might take on those involved. Imagine for a moment that you had been in the position to make such an agreement. Would you have chosen to protect your country by keeping the truth hidden, even if it meant allowing these beings to continue their experiments on innocent people? Could you live with the knowledge that, by keeping this secret, you might have condemned others to a fate they could never escape? These are the types of questions that might haunt those who are privy to this information. This theory, while deeply unsettling, is also a challenge to our collective understanding of reality. It forces us to confront the possibility that we are not alone in the universe, and that the truth has been hidden from us for reasons far beyond our comprehension. The idea that our government has been involved in such a monumental cover-up for so long is enough to make anyone question the very foundation of their trust in the institutions that govern them. It's a feeling that many Americans, particularly those who have lived through the turbulent times of the 20th century, can understand all too well. For many of us, the idea of government secrecy is nothing new. We have lived through Watergate, the Pentagon Papers, and countless other scandals where the truth was hidden, sometimes for years from the public. But this is different. This is not just about political maneuvering or the hiding of embarrassing facts. This is about something far more profound: the potential for a government to betray its citizens in the most profound way possible, by covering up the existence of extraterrestrial life and allowing those beings to take whatever they wanted from us. If you think about it, this could be the ultimate betrayal. It's a betrayal of trust, of our safety, and of our very understanding of what it means to be human. And perhaps the most troubling part of all is that we may never truly know the full extent of what has been hidden from us. So, as you sit and ponder these thoughts, ask yourself this: are you ready to face the truth, no matter how terrifying or unsettling it may be? Are you willing to challenge the narratives that have been fed to you for so long and seek out the real story behind the government alien deal? Or will you allow the secrets to remain hidden, buried beneath layers of misinformation, where they can continue to manipulate and control us for generations to come? The choice is yours. But remember, sometimes the truth is far stranger and far darker than anything we could have ever imagined. In the vast and mysterious world of UFO sightings and government secrets, one of the most chilling and perplexing aspects that often gets overlooked is the phenomenon of alien abductions and the disturbing experiments that follow. These events, shrouded in mystery and steeped in a deep sense of unease, have sparked curiosity, fear, and even disbelief among the many who have heard the stories. But for those brave enough to dig deeper into the shadowy realms of UFO lore, the truth, if it can even be called, that appears darker than anyone could have imagined. Imagine, for a moment, that you are an ordinary person living your life in the quiet comfort of your home. Perhaps just like many of you who've lived through decades of history. You've watched the world change around you, seen the rise of technology, the growth of society, and yet there are still mysteries that seem to defy explanation. Now, picture this. Late one night, you are suddenly yanked from your bed, unable to move, trapped in a reality that feels as if it's not your own. You find yourself aboard a ship cold, sterile, and unsettlingly quiet. Strange beings, not human, but not entirely alien either, examine you. They insert small devices into your body, and the pain, though not unbearable, is enough to make you question whether you'll ever see your home again. These beings aren't interested in any simple communication. No, they are interested in your biology, your very essence, and they are carrying out experiments that you can't understand, but are impossible to ignore, This is the core of the alien abduction phenomenon, a dark undercurrent that runs through the stories shared by countless individuals across the globe. But what if I told you that these abductions were not random? What if they were part of a larger, far-reaching plan? A plan that involved the manipulation of human life on a scale we could never have imagined. One of the most alarming aspects of these abductions is the repeated and unsettling reports from victims who claim to have experienced what can only be described as scientific experiments. The motives behind these experiments are unclear, but the patterns and procedures suggest something far more calculated and methodical than random occurrences. Those who have been abducted describe feeling an overwhelming sense of control being imposed on them. It's as if their bodies, their very minds, are no longer their own. The instruments used during these encounters are described as foreign to anything humans have ever created: sleek, metallic, and cold, yet capable of manipulating the very fabric of a person's physical and mental state for many of the abductees. One of the most disturbing elements of their experiences is the insertion of small, spherical devices into their bodies. These devices, often placed deep within the nasal cavity or under the skin, seem to serve a chilling purpose: biological monitoring. This device, measuring only a few millimeters in diameter, is capable of tracking and controlling the individual's actions, thoughts, and even their physical responses. Imagine the horror of knowing that something is silently working inside you, monitoring your every move, your every breath. It's a sense of violation unlike any other, one that extends beyond the physical realm and reaches deep into the most personal corners of the mind. And for those who have undergone this experience, the realization that these devices could be used to control them, perhaps even without their knowledge, is enough to leave anyone feeling utterly helpless. But the experiments don't end with the implantation of these devices. Many abductees have reported more invasive and deeply unsettling procedures. There are accounts of genetic manipulation, where the alien beings seem to be collecting genetic material to experiment with human DNA. This process often involves the extraction of tissue samples, blood, and even reproductive cells. These operations are described as being surgical in nature, done with a precision that is both terrifying and awe-inspiring. The aliens seem to be carrying out experiments on the very building blocks of human life, attempting to alter, manipulate, and perhaps even enhance human genetics in ways that are both profound and deeply disturbing. In some cases, these experiments go even further, with reports of hybridization programs where human DNA is combined with that of the alien beings. The purpose of these programs, if one could even call it that, remains unclear. Some believe that the aliens are attempting to create a race of hybrids beings that are part human, part extraterrestrial, capable of surviving in environments that would be inhospitable to pure humans. Others suspect that these hybrids could serve as a way for the aliens to assimilate into human society, infiltrating and perhaps even taking control without anyone noticing. The thought of an alien race secretly altering the course of humanity through genetic manipulation is enough to send shivers down anyone's spine. The psychological toll these abductions take on the victims is just as severe, if not more so, than the physical effects. Many abductees report feelings of confusion, disorientation, and a deep sense of betrayal. They describe the haunting sensation of not knowing whether what they experienced was real or simply a product of their imagination. The most disturbing part, however, is the knowledge that they are not alone. There are thousands, perhaps millions, of people who have experienced similar horrors, yet society at large remains either unaware or unwilling to acknowledge the truth. For those who have been abducted, the feeling of being in on the secret is both empowering and frightening. They know something that the rest of the world refuses to believe, and that knowledge can be both a curse and a blessing. And here's the most chilling part. It's not just the individual victims who are affected. The government, too, seems to be complicit in this dark agreement. As part of a secret deal between extraterrestrial beings and human authorities, the aliens are allowed to carry out these experiments in exchange for advanced technology. The government, in turn, agrees to suppress any knowledge of the abductions and the experiments, keeping the public in the dark and allowing the aliens to continue their work unchecked. Imagine the betrayal, the profound sense of deception, as the very people who are supposed to protect you are instead complicit in hiding the truth from the world. What does this mean for us, the ordinary citizens? Are we merely pawns in a game far beyond our understanding? Are the aliens slowly, silently altering the course of humanity while we go about our lives, oblivious to the massive changes happening just beyond the veil of our perception? It's a question that continues to haunt those who have delved into the world of UFOs and abductions. For those of us who have lived through the decades of history, from the space race to the Cold War and beyond, it's easy to see how these stories could be dismissed as mere fantasy. But what if there's more to them than we realize? What if, in the pursuit of uncovering the truth, we are walking into a world that is darker and more complex than we could ever have imagined? The abduction phenomenon is not just a story, it is a challenge to our understanding of reality itself. It forces us to question everything we've been taught, everything we've believed to be true. And for many, it's a question that may never have an answer. But as more and more people come forward with their stories, as the pieces of this puzzle continue to fall into place, one thing becomes abundantly clear: the truth, whatever it may be, is out there. And it's a truth that, once revealed, may forever change the way we see the world around us. In the late 1980s, an alleged document began circulating, bringing a hidden program, one buried deep within the walls of government secrecy, into the public eye. This document spoke of a top-secret initiative, one that was so classified, its very existence had been denied until years later. It was called Project Aquarius, a secretive operation allegedly spearheaded by the National Security Agency, NSA, designed to explore and communicate with extraterrestrial beings. For years, this program remained out of sight, its implications reaching far beyond what most people could ever fathom. Today, we're going to take a closer look at the origins of Aquarius, how it came to be, and the hidden truths it sought to reveal. Imagine, for a moment, that you're living in a time when you're not sure whether you can trust your government. It's the late 1980s, and UFO sightings have been steadily increasing in the public eye. Newspapers report strange phenomena in the skies, unexplained craft that defy the laws of aviation. You may remember the flurry of activities surrounding UFOs over Washington, D.C. In 1952, when unidentified flying objects made their way over the White House and the Capitol building, causing nationwide panic. That was just the beginning. The 1980s brought more sightings, more unexplained reports, and a growing sense that the government wasn't being entirely honest about what was going on. Now, picture yourself as a senior citizen, someone who's lived through the Cold War, through the terror of nuclear threats, through the disillusionment of the Watergate scandal. You've seen the government promise transparency, yet time and time again, you've watched as information is kept from the public. The very thought that something as monumental as alien life could be kept secret for so long begins to eat away at the back of your mind. Could the government really be hiding such a huge truth from us? And if so, why? It's this sense of betrayal, the feeling of being manipulated, that Project Aquarius taps into. This initiative, under the guise of national security, was allegedly designed to facilitate communication with extraterrestrial biological entities, EBs. The key question is, why would a government, particularly the United States, go to such lengths to keep something so significant under wraps? The answer lies in what the government discovered during the program, something so powerful, so far beyond human comprehension, that it could not be allowed to fall into the wrong hands. According to the alleged documents, The government's first encounters with extraterrestrials didn't come through direct communication, but rather via the technology that these extraterrestrials were willing to share. The story goes that in the 1960s, the U.S. government entered into a deal with these beings trading technology for secrecy. The extraterrestrials, with their advanced knowledge of the cosmos and ability to manipulate matter in ways we could only dream of, offered technologies that would revolutionize life on Earth. But at a cost. The government, in exchange for these wonders, agreed to look the other way on the alien abductions and bizarre cattle mutilations that were taking place across the country. This, it seems, was the price of progress. Imagine the burden of that secret. How would you feel if you learned that the very technology we depend on today are advances in medicine, energy, and possibly even telecommunications were born from the hands of beings from another world? How would you feel if you knew that every major breakthrough was not of human origin? The anxiety and sense of violation would be overwhelming. To think that your own government made deals with beings from another planet in order to secure this knowledge, while at the same time allowing the continued abduction of civilians, would be almost too much to bear. The very fabric of trust between the American people and their government would begin to unravel. The secrecy surrounding Project Aquarius allegedly ran so deep that even the most powerful agencies in the United States were kept in the dark. The NSA, known for its surveillance operations and ability to intercept communications worldwide, was supposedly tasked with handling the extraterrestrial communications. However, it was only a small group of high-ranking officials who were in the know. The public, on the other hand, remained blissfully unaware of the deals being struck behind closed doors. But as the documents reveal, this secret couldn't remain hidden forever. The knowledge of extraterrestrial life and the threat it posed was simply too big to keep in the shadows for much longer. Think about it. The government was not just hiding information about UFOs or aliens. They were hiding the fact that they were actively communicating with beings from another world. For decades, these beings had been observed by government officials, their ships analyzed and studied. Some of these extraterrestrials were reportedly able to send messages through telepathy, something that would have seemed impossible to even the most advanced scientists of the time. The NSA allegedly worked tirelessly to crack the code of their communication, deciphering messages that were not meant for human ears. But the deeper question remains: why would the government keep all of this hidden? Why would they allow the public to live in fear and ignorance about the most significant discovery in human history? The answer, some claim, is simple: control. The government knew that the revelation of extraterrestrial life would be too much for the public to handle. It would shatter everything religion, society, science, and politics. The public's reaction to such news could be unpredictable. Chaos could follow. The social fabric could unravel, and the consequences for national security could be disastrous. It's easier, some argue, to suppress the truth and maintain order. As we dig into these revelations, one can't help but feel a sense of betrayal. The idea that those in power made deals with extraterrestrial beings while sacrificing innocent lives to hide the truth is both disturbing and fascinating. How would you feel if you were one of the many people who were allegedly abducted and experimented on, knowing that your government was aware of what was happening, but chose to ignore it for the sake of power and control? The more you think about it, the more it becomes clear the government wasn't just withholding information. They were complicit. This feeling of betrayal is only amplified when you realize the extent to which this secretive communication continued. The U.S. government, through Project Aquarius, was allegedly in contact with beings from multiple extraterrestrial races. These beings, it seems, had been visiting Earth for centuries, gathering data, observing humanity, and according to some accounts, helping shape our technological and social progress. But the connection doesn't stop there. As we dig further into the details of this alleged program, the story takes on an even more sinister tone. The beings involved in these exchanges were reportedly not benevolent beings offering assistance out of kindness. Some accounts suggest that the extraterrestrials had their own agenda, one that involved manipulating humanity to suit their needs. The government, in its pursuit of technological advancement, unknowingly, perhaps even knowingly, became a pawn in a much larger, more dangerous game. The ultimate question is, what were they really bargaining for? Now, as you sit back and process this, imagine being part of this story. Imagine living in a world where you've been told that humanity is alone in the universe, only to discover that not only are we not alone, but our leaders have been negotiating with these beings for decades. How would you feel about the trust you've placed in the government? Would you still believe in the idea of transparency and truth, or would you feel completely betrayed by those in power? The emotional weight of this revelation is almost too much to bear. Yet, the questions remain unanswered. The secrets of Project Aquarius and the dealings between the U.S. government and extraterrestrial beings are far from over. They are just waiting to be uncovered. For now, we can only speculate. But as you continue to ponder these questions, the truth, whether it's out there or hidden away, remains one of the most profound mysteries of our time. And the more we dig, the more we uncover, the more we realize we are not in control of the narrative. But perhaps, just maybe, it's time for us to take back that control. In the quiet expanse of the American countryside, where the stars paint the night sky and the air is thick with the hum of crickets, there lies a story that has remained shrouded in mystery and fear for decades. It's a tale that makes your skin crawl, one that has left many scratching their heads, questioning everything they thought they knew about the world. It's about cattle mutilations and human abductions, events that seem to defy all logic, yet continue to haunt the rural heart of America. Imagine walking through your fields on a crisp autumn morning, the wind carrying the scent of earth and fresh hay, when suddenly you notice something that seems so out of place, it stops you dead in your tracks. A cow lying lifeless in the field, its body eerily clean, with no sign of struggle, yet its organs have been removed with precision that can only be described as surgical. There's no blood, no traces of the usual mess one might expect from such an occurrence. It's as though something, or someone, had taken the parts they wanted and left behind nothing but a shell. Now, these aren't just isolated incidents. Across the country, particularly in rural areas where wide open fields stretch as far as the eye can see, reports of such mutilations have been made for decades. Farmers, ranchers, and ordinary folk have found their livestock in the same condition, organs removed with an unsettling level of expertise, often in ways that baffle even the most seasoned veterinarians. Eyes gouged out, genitals removed, and rectums surgically excised, all without a drop of blood in sight. It's not just a few cases. It's an ongoing mystery that defies explanation. And as if that weren't enough to make your blood run cold, consider the reports that have emerged of human abductions, where witnesses describe being taken against their will, examined, and experimented upon in ways that seem more like science fiction than reality. Imagine waking up in the dead of night, only to find yourself floating above your bed, your body immobilized and paralyzed as shadowy figures approach. There's no escape, no way to fight back, and no one to call for help. These experiences are not confined to the world of fiction or rumors. They are real, and they've happened to people, many of them seemingly ordinary, with no reason to lie or fabricate such stories. What makes this even more chilling is the connection that many believe exists between these cattle mutilations and abductions. It's as if the same unseen forces behind the disappearances of livestock are responsible for the disappearance of people as well. The timing of these occurrences often aligns, and the patterns are too consistent to ignore. The medical precision involved in these mutilations suggests a higher level of intelligence, one far beyond the capabilities of ordinary criminals. Who or what would have the ability to perform such intricate procedures? And more importantly, why? Now, imagine being the one to find your livestock mutilated, or worse, having your loved ones go missing under suspicious circumstances. Imagine being a farmer, and after all the hard work and dedication you put into raising your animals, you walk into the barn one morning only to find one of them in a state so unnatural it shakes you to your core. It's not just the mutilation that disturbs you, but the feeling of being watched, the sense that something otherworldly is observing and interacting with the creatures you've cared for. What is really happening in the darkness of those empty fields? And more importantly, who or what is behind it all? The government, as many would suggest, has been less than forthcoming about these events. Despite numerous reports and countless witnesses coming forward with their experiences, there's been little to no public acknowledgement. It's as if these occurrences are being swept under the rug, leaving the people affected to wonder why they are being left in the dark. Are they being silenced? Are they being manipulated? Or is it something more sinister at play, something that the powers that be want to keep hidden at all costs? And that's where the unsettling truth lies. Many believe that these abductions and mutilations are not just random acts of terror, but are part of a larger, more terrifying agenda. Some claim that these events are the result of secret agreements between extraterrestrial beings and government agencies, a deal made in the shadows, hidden from the eyes of the public. The deal, some argue, involves the exchange of advanced technology for the silence of the government and its citizens. But at what cost? And who really benefits from such a partnership? As the years have passed, more and more individuals have come forward with their experiences, many of them deeply shaken by what they have endured. Some report being taken from their homes, others from remote areas where no one would hear their screams. They describe being subjected to experiments, often involving the insertion of small devices into their bodies, devices that allow the aliens to track and control their movements. These implants, they claim, are designed to monitor human development, as if we are nothing more than specimens to be studied and manipulated. For those who have lived through these experiences, the trauma runs deep. The fear of being taken again, of waking up in the dead of night to find themselves no longer in control of their own bodies, is a fear that stays with them long after the event. And for many, it's not just the abduction itself that haunts them, but the overwhelming feeling of being deceived by those in power. The government, they believe, knows more than they are letting on. They know about the abductions, the mutilations, and the aliens, yet they refuse to acknowledge it, leaving those affected to feel as though they are nothing more than pawns in a much larger game. But why? You may ask, would the government hide something like this from the public? The answer is simple: control. If the truth were to be revealed, if people were to learn that we are not alone in the universe, and that our government has made deals with extraterrestrial beings, it could cause mass panic. It could shake the very foundations of society, and the powers that be know this. So they remain silent, suppressing the truth and keeping the public in the dark, all while continuing their secret dealings with forces far beyond our comprehension. But there are those who refuse to stay silent, who refuse to accept the lies that have been fed to them. These brave individuals are the ones who continue to share their stories, despite the ridicule, despite the fear. They are the ones who stand up and say, "This is happening, and we deserve to know the truth." And it's their courage, their determination to expose the truth, that keeps the fire of hope alive for those who have been affected by these events. As you read this, you might be feeling a sense of unease, a shiver running down your spine as you contemplate the implications of these stories. You might be wondering, could this really be happening? The truth is, we may never know for sure. But one thing is certain: the story of cattle mutilations and human abductions is far from over. And as long as there are those who are brave enough to speak out, the search for the truth will continue, no matter how deep it's buried or how dark the forces are that seek to keep it hidden. Now, the question remains, what will you do with this information? Will you turn away, dismissing it as fiction, or will you stand with those who seek the truth, knowing that sometimes the most disturbing questions lead to the most important answers? The truth, after all, is out there waiting to be discovered. In recent years, the topic of UFOs, extraterrestrial beings, and government cover-ups has become a subject of intense debate and speculation. The mysteries surrounding these phenomena have fascinated people from all walks of life, particularly the older generations who have witnessed decades of government secrecy, unexplained events, and the emergence of new technologies. But there is one aspect of this story that seems to have slipped under the radar for most people: how influential public figures and respected organizations have allegedly played their part in concealing the truth about extraterrestrial life. It's not just about government secrecy anymore. It's about a web of lies woven by trusted figures in science and media, individuals whose involvement might make you question everything you've been told. Imagine for a moment that the truth is being deliberately withheld from the public by the very people who should be guiding us toward understanding. The government, with its vast powers, is not the only entity involved in this suppression of knowledge. Public intellectuals, famous scientists, and even popular media figures have long been accused of keeping quiet about the existence of extraterrestrials, an issue that could change the very foundation of human understanding. At the heart of this web of silence lies an unsettling question. Why would such reputable individuals and organizations actively participate in hiding this reality? Take, for example, the case of Carl Sagan, the renowned astronomer and science communicator. Sagan is often hailed as the voice of reason and rationality in scientific circles, especially when it comes to the search for extraterrestrial life. His work on the search for extraterrestrial intelligence SETI made him a household name. Yet, as the years passed, some began to wonder, was Sagan really as open-minded as he seemed about the existence of extraterrestrial life? Sagan was an ardent advocate for the search for life beyond Earth, but there are claims suggesting that behind closed doors, he may have been aware of information that could have confirmed the existence of extraterrestrials, information that he chose to keep hidden. Why would someone like Sagan, who was so dedicated to science and truth, remain silent on a matter that could change the course of history? This brings us to another crucial question. How far did the silence go? Was this a mere coincidence or a calculated effort to keep the public in the dark? In the 1980s and 1990 seconds, when UFO sightings and the debate over extraterrestrial life reached a boiling point, some of the most famous figures in science fiction and scientific circles began to raise their voices. Figures like Isaac Asimov, who was known for his insightful work in science fiction, and Arthur C. Clarke, a visionary who played a key role in shaping popular science, also came under suspicion. While Clarke was deeply involved in space exploration and had ties to NASA, some believe that even he might have known more about the government's involvement with extraterrestrials than he ever let on. The question lingers, why didn't they speak out? Could they have been complicit in a larger scheme to keep the truth hidden from the masses? This is not just a theoretical discussion. These individuals had the power to influence public opinion, to lead society to a new understanding of the universe, yet many chose to remain silent. This silence is not without consequence. It leaves us wondering how many other influential figures knew about the existence of UFOs and extraterrestrials, but decided to toe the line for fear of damaging their careers, their reputations, or perhaps their safety. It's an unsettling thought that those we trust most may be part of the very system that has kept us in the dark for so long. What is most troubling is the realization that some of the most widely respected institutions in the world may have been complicit in perpetuating the silence. Universities, scientific organizations, and media outlets, many of which are held in high regard by the public, have played an active role in keeping UFO-related information under wraps. The question arises, is this all part of a coordinated effort to ensure that certain truths never come to light? And if so, what else are they hiding? If extraterrestrial life exists, what other secrets are being kept from us? Are we being manipulated by the very institutions that are supposed to help us understand our world? It's easy to feel a sense of betrayal when we begin to consider that these trusted figures and institutions might not have been forthcoming with the truth. The emotions of curiosity and intrigue quickly turn into feelings of doubt and unease. If people like Carl Sagan, Isaac Asimov, and Arthur C. Clarke, who are all deeply involved in the study of space and life beyond Earth, were aware of the truth and chose not to share it, what does this say about the integrity of our public institutions? The more we delve into the topic, the more unsettling the questions become. As you read this, I challenge you to consider the broader implications. If the government and scientific leaders have been concealing the truth about UFOs and extraterrestrial life, how does that affect your trust in the institutions that shape our society? How do we know what to believe when the very people who are supposed to lead us to the truth may have been leading us astray for decades? The stakes are high. The possibility that we have been kept in the dark for so long is enough to make anyone feel a sense of urgency. The mystery is tantalizing, and the prospect of uncovering the truth is both exciting and terrifying. We are left to ponder, if extraterrestrial life does exist, what else are we missing? What other pieces of the puzzle have been hidden from us? And how long will it take for the full truth to come out? Now, more than ever, it is important for each of us to stay curious and seek out the truth. If we have learned anything from this journey into the unknown, it's that the truth is not always as simple as it seems. The path to uncovering it may be fraught with obstacles, and those who dare to ask the hard questions may be met with resistance. But the search for the truth must continue, not only for our own understanding, but for future generations who deserve to know the full extent of the mysteries that have been concealed from them. So, as you reflect on this, I urge you to consider the following. What would it mean for our society if the truth about extraterrestrial life were to come out? How would it change our view of the world and our place in the universe? What role will you play in ensuring that the truth is not lost to history? The answers to these questions are waiting to be discovered, but only if we are brave enough to keep asking them. This is not just about UFOs or extraterrestrials. It's about the larger issue of truth and transparency in our society. It's about reclaiming the power to question, to seek answers, and to never stop challenging what we are told. The truth is out there. It's time we start looking for it, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. Preparing the public for the truth. A story of disguised disclosure. Imagine a time when the truth you believed to be absolute, a truth that governed your understanding of the world, was suddenly turned upside down. That is the kind of shift that people in the United States, especially those of you with rich life experience, may be forced to face sooner rather than later. Over the years, we've been presented with a picture of the universe, one where humans are the dominant life form, the Earth is our only home, and extraterrestrial beings are confined to the realm of science fiction. But what if this portrayal has been a carefully constructed illusion, designed to shield us from the overwhelming truth? What if, hidden beneath the surface, the government has been preparing us for a revelation far greater than we could ever imagine? It's a tale that has been woven slowly and deliberately, with a masterful strategy to ease the public into the reality that extraterrestrial life exists, and that we've been interacting with it for far longer than most of us would like to believe. The story goes back decades into the heart of Hollywood and the silver screen, where certain films were not just made for entertainment, but as part of a much larger psychological operation. These films were meant to soften the blow, to allow us to become comfortable with the idea of extraterrestrial beings, no matter how strange or unsettling they may appear. You may recall the 1977 classic Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Directed by Steven Spielberg, it portrayed UFOs as peaceful visitors, arriving with the sole purpose of communicating with humanity. The film's storyline, though fictitious, was imbued with a sense of wonder and hope. The idea of alien life was presented as a harmonious possibility, one that could offer us a glimpse into the unknown, a chance to explore the universe beyond our earthly confines. For those who saw it, it became a part of the collective imagination, a story we all shared, one that made us comfortable with the idea of contact with beings from another world. Then, just a few years later, came E.T., the Extraterrestrial, in 1982. The lovable alien, with his big eyes and gentle nature, was a far cry from the terrifying invaders portrayed in earlier science fiction. E.T. further solidified the image of extraterrestrials as benevolent beings, fostering a sense of connection and friendship rather than fear. This film, like its predecessor, was another piece of the puzzle, a carefully timed release to guide the public's perception of aliens as not only real but friendly and approachable. But what if I told you that these films were not simply works of fiction? What if they were part of a much deeper strategy, a calculated effort by powerful groups to prepare us for a future revelation that could shatter our very understanding of the world? The government, as many have speculated, has been running a disinformation campaign for decades, feeding us little bits of truth mixed with grand exaggerations to obscure the reality. These films, along with others that followed, played a key role in this plan. They were never just about entertaining us. They were about conditioning us, making us comfortable with the notion that we are not alone in the universe, and that our interactions with alien civilizations may be more common than we think. You may be wondering, why would the government go to such lengths to prepare the public for this truth? The answer lies in the nature of the information itself. The government has long known that extraterrestrial beings exist, and that we've been in contact with them for years. But disclosing this truth to the public all at once without proper preparation would cause mass panic. Imagine the chaos if the government suddenly came forward and admitted that UFOs were real, and that they had been in communication with alien species for decades. The resulting shock and disbelief would be catastrophic, particularly for older generations who are raised on a very different worldview. This is where the films and other forms of media come in. By introducing these ideas gradually, the government and other powerful entities have been able to nudge public perception in a direction that will make the eventual disclosure more palatable. They needed to create a new narrative, one in which alien contact is not only possible, but potentially beneficial to humanity. And over time, this narrative began to take root in the collective psyche. People began to entertain the idea of UFOs and aliens not as threats, but as potential partners, visitors from distant worlds with much to offer. However, as with all things in life, the truth is rarely as simple as it seems. Behind the scenes, the government has continued to manipulate the narrative, ensuring that the full extent of what is happening remains hidden. The creation of MJ-12, a secret organization tasked with managing extraterrestrial information, is a prime example of this. While the public was being conditioned to accept the existence of UFOs and extraterrestrials, MJ-12 was quietly managing the interactions between the U.S. government and alien species. They made deals, brokered technology exchanges, and most disturbingly, agreed to keep certain aspects of the truth hidden, including the reality of alien abductions and the sinister experiments taking place. The question we must all ask ourselves is, why? Why have we been kept in the dark for so long? Why has the truth been so carefully guarded, manipulated, and disguised? The answer, as uncomfortable as it may be, is that the government believed the public was not ready for the full truth. They feared that revealing the extent of their involvement with extraterrestrial beings and the darker side of those interactions would shatter the fabric of society. The consequences of such a revelation would be far-reaching, affecting everything from religion to politics, from science to global security. But as the years have gone by, it has become increasingly clear that the government's efforts to keep the truth hidden are failing. The public is waking up. The rise of UFO sightings, leaked documents, and the growing number of whistleblowers who have come forward with their stories has forced the government to reconsider how much longer they can keep up the facade. And so, the stage is set for the eventual revelation, the moment when the truth will finally be exposed for all to see. As we approach this moment, it is natural to feel a sense of anticipation, mixed with a hint of fear. The truth, once revealed, will forever alter our understanding of reality. But it's important to remember that we have been prepared for this moment for decades. Through movies, books, and even news reports, we have been gently led to this point, where the disclosure of alien life will no longer be as shocking as it once would have been. Yet, despite the years of conditioning, there will still be a sense of disbelief. Some of us will be overwhelmed by the sheer enormity of the truth, while others may feel betrayed by the government for keeping us in the dark for so long. It is only natural to question everything we've been told, to feel the sting of deception, and to wonder how much of our lives have been shaped by false narratives. But here's the thing: the truth is coming, whether we're ready or not. And when it does, it will not be a cataclysmic event, but rather a moment of realization, one that challenges our understanding of what it means to be human, to live on Earth, and to share this universe with other beings. This is not the end of the world, it is the beginning of a new chapter, one in which we will have to redefine everything we thought we knew. So, ask yourself this: are you ready for the truth? Are you prepared to face the reality of extraterrestrial life, of secret government dealings, and of a universe far larger and more complex than you ever imagined? The time to find out is fast approaching. Stay curious, stay open, and most importantly, stay ready to face the truth, whatever it may be. As we approach the unknown, we find ourselves caught between belief and disbelief, standing at the precipice of a truth that has been hidden from us for decades. Imagine for a moment, what if everything you've been told about the world, the government, even the very nature of reality itself, was a carefully crafted illusion? What if the truth was something so astonishing, so mind-boggling, that your own mind couldn't accept it? What if the greatest mystery of our time wasn't just a flight of fancy, but something terrifyingly real? For many of us, the possibility of extraterrestrial life has been a topic reserved for science fiction, something to watch on the silver screen with a mix of curiosity and entertainment. But for others, the question has never been a matter of if, but when. The truth, as it seems, might be closer than we think. However, as we stand on the edge of a vast and uncomfortable revelation, we also find ourselves facing an emotional wall that's harder to break than we could have ever imagined. It's not just the government's silence or the overwhelming lack of evidence that holds us back. It's our own deeply ingrained need to reject the uncomfortable and the unfamiliar. It's easy to dismiss something that doesn't fit within the neat boundaries of our worldview, especially when it challenges the very foundation of what we have believed to be true. The truth, when it finally comes, may not be as comforting as we want it to be. It could shatter the very lens through which we've understood our place in the universe, and that's something no one can take lightly. For many older Americans, the world of today is vastly different from the world they grew up in. The certainties that once defined daily life, family, faith, country are now constantly questioned. We're living in an age of misinformation, where facts are disputed and the line between truth and fiction is blurred. It's not hard to imagine why some of us might feel betrayed, left in the dark, or even manipulated by forces we can't control. The very idea that the government, an institution we've long trusted, might be hiding something as monumental as extraterrestrial life is, frankly, terrifying. What does that mean for us? For our children, Our grandchildren? For the world we thought we knew? These are questions we all face when confronted with the reality that our understanding of the world might not be as complete as we once believed. The fear that comes with such a realization is palpable, especially for those who have spent decades building their understanding of the world based on certain accepted truths. The idea that UFOs and extraterrestrials could be more than just stories or hoaxes forces us to reckon with a reality that could throw everything into disarray. It's one thing to consider the existence of aliens in the abstract through the lens of a movie or a book. But it's another thing entirely to entertain the possibility that these beings may have been here, operating in our very midst without us ever knowing. The idea of being lied to on such a grand scale is enough to make anyone uneasy, no matter their age. For some, this revelation may feel like an affront to everything they've worked for in their lives, a challenge to their sense of security and peace. But perhaps the most unsettling emotion of all is the intellectual challenge that comes with confronting the truth. For many, particularly those in the older generations who have seen the world evolve in ways they never imagined, it's not just the truth itself that is difficult to accept, it's the realization that we may not have all the answers, and that everything we thought we knew could be wrong. It's a difficult pill to swallow, particularly when we've spent so many years building our knowledge based on a particular set of facts. To confront the possibility that something as extraordinary as extraterrestrial life has been kept from us, right under our noses, forces us to question the very limits of human understanding. In times like these, when emotions run high and curiosity is a powerful force, it's easy to feel a sense of personal connection to the mystery. For many of us, these questions about UFOs and extraterrestrials aren't just abstract ideas, they are deeply personal. We want to know what's really happening, what the truth is, and why it's been kept from us for so long. There's a sense of shared responsibility, almost a duty, to uncover the truth, not only for ourselves, but for future generations. In this age of rapid technological advancements and shifting societal norms, we find ourselves at a crossroads, with the answers to some of life's greatest questions tantalizingly out of reach. The waiting is perhaps the hardest part. We live in an age of instant gratification, where answers come at the click of a button. Yet, when it comes to something as profound as the truth about extraterrestrial life, we are forced to be patient. The question isn't just about whether the truth will be revealed, it's about when and how it will come. Will it be in a manner that we can process, or will it be so overwhelming that it upends everything we know about the world and our place in it? The very thought of such a revelation can leave us in a state of anxious anticipation, waiting for a breakthrough that may never come, or conversely, might come in a way we never expected. It's an unsettling experience, but one that many of us feel in our bones. As we wait for this great unknown to be unveiled, we must also reckon with the fear that accompanies it. No matter how much we may want the truth, no matter how much our curiosity drives us to uncover the facts, there's an underlying fear that what we uncover may be too much to handle. It's easy to dismiss the idea of UFOs and aliens as the stuff of fiction, but the longer we wait, the more we're forced to ask ourselves, what if it's real? What if the strange lights in the sky are not just military experiments, but something far more extraordinary? And what happens if we, as a society, are not prepared to face that truth? It's a daunting thought, but perhaps it's the uncertainty itself that drives us to keep searching, to keep questioning. We want to know, but we're afraid of what that knowledge might bring. And yet, deep down, we all know that the search for truth is something we cannot ignore, no matter how uncomfortable it may make us. The truth, after all, is the only thing that can set us free, even if it comes in a form that we least expect. As we wait for answers, we must also ask ourselves, how will we respond when the truth finally comes to light? Will we be ready to face it, or will we continue to live in denial, clinging to the world we once knew? The journey to uncover the truth about extraterrestrial life is not just about discovering new facts, it's about discovering ourselves, our place in the universe, and the courage to confront the unknown. Only then can we truly understand what has been hidden from us all along. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you found it helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any new videos. I truly appreciate your support and hope to see you again in the next videos.